Okay.
You'll have one. And my podcast is called DoD Secure, Department of Defense Secure. It's on
Okay.
all platforms.
So do you, other than your podcast, do you talk anywhere on the topic?
No. I want to get out there. I do training for people, and I'm starting a webinar. So I sent that out to my mailing list to see if they wanted to join in on a webinar. So I'll be doing some training topics on how to protect classified information and how to get security clearances. So.
How did you get into what you do? Describe a little bit better for me. I mean, it sounds like you're into software predominantly, that plus the books.
Yeah. So actually what we do is just imagine just a normal commercial corporation that wants to protect its proprietary information. It could reside in a form of a person's knowledge or in documentation that is stored in a library or on a computer. This same thing is when the government program office has a system or something or a service that they want from a defense contractor, they have an agreement in place where we will give you the tools and resources to use to do your job. And the contractor's agreement is, okay, we'll take these tools and resources and protect them according to your guidance. And so for the defense contractors, it's called the National Industrial Security Program Operating Manual. And yeah. So they've got their guidance from the government, from that's the Department of Defense level guidance.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes straight to and it's applies across the board in Department of Defense. Information that's marked secret, confidential, or top secret will be protected in this manner, and it specifies. And so there is a discipline of security professionals who work in that role. And so I've always, had in the Army and in that security role, I've had the opportunity to work in that role. And so what I've been doing lately, the past few years, is writing books that reflect the NISPOM, National Industrial Security Program Operating Manual. I'm writing books and training to help these professionals do their job better. And some of my books I've written are DoD Security Clearance and Contracts Guidebook, and it explains how to protect classified information from the time you receive it to the time you get rid of it. And then I have a new book called The Insider's Guide to Security Clearances, and it's geared towards people who might be in college or young in their career who might want to say, hey, I'm an engineer, or I am a administrative person or finance person, or even perform janitorial services, and I would like to get a security clearance so I can work in the defense sector.
So what's involved in getting a security clearance?
The security clearance, that's a good question, because it is hard for the general public to get that information. But what is involved with getting a security clearance is the easiest way to get a security clearance is apply for and get a job that requires a security clearance. So a security clearance is directly linked to a security contract. So a business can get a security clearance. They need to be sponsored by a defense contractor that has a security clearance as a subcontractor, or contracted directly to the government who needs their services. So that sponsorship gives that business an opportunity to get that security clearance. And then the employees that work for that business who will perform in that contract are eligible for security clearances. And so once each one of these security clearances requires a background investigation, and the government performs that investigation.
Okay. A bit more intensive an investigation than getting a concealed weapons permit, I assume?
Probably just a little bit. They do background checks. They check where you've lived. They verify your citizenship. And we might call it a judge or a decision maker, but in this particular instance, they're called adjudicators. And there's 13 criteria that they look at in a background investigation. So they look at the whole person, and like who is Jeff Bennett, and is he trustworthy? And so they'll go through my background and look for that. And then they're looking for how does my allegiance to the United States look? Am I under influence from foreign people, for example? Do I have, investments overseas? Do I own a foreign company? Have I run for government? Do I have a spouse that is a non-U.S. citizen, for example? Then to look at drug records, alcohol records, sexual behavior, and there's 13 of them. And so the
So
judiciary looks at the whole person, not just, if you have a red mark, they're going to look at you and say, hey, how long ago did this happen? Was it a one-time occurrence? And so there's some things that you can do as an individual to what they call adjudicate any information that might prevent you from getting a clearance.
you made mention one of the considerations was whether or not you ever ran for office.
In a foreign country.
Oh, in a foreign country. I was going to ask you if that was a disqualifier.
That is definitely a disqualifier.
I want to be mayor. Sorry, you can't get there.
But so interesting point. And a lot of people have this question as well. How did so-and-so ever get to become a president? Because their path was so terrible. Just pick a name. And then the president doesn't go through that process. They're provided access to classified information based on their position.
Okay.
So unless they have been like prior military or prior had a security clearance, they will most likely not go through that adjudication process. Their position as an elected official, they're the highest level of oversight as far as classified information. So because of their job, they need to have access to make their decisions they need to make.
So typically, do political officials have to go through and get background checks let's assume they're not on a committee or anything like that. Do all of our elected officials go through that except necessarily for the president? Or can you actually find a path from almost nobody up the tree to where, okay, now we're going to run this guy for office and see if he can make it? Is it possible to get that far up without somebody doing a background check?
Yeah. So are we talking about the presidential level or
well, I'm thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
I like these what if kind of things. So let's say there was a Manchurian kind of candidate out there.
Mm-hmm.
So, somebody is basically a sleeper. They decided long term, we're going to 30 years from now try and put our man in the office, but we have to keep him below the radar the entire time until he gets there. Can you pull that off? Or is there some kind of check in place where you'll be caught along the way?
So, yeah, that's a good what if question. I can tell you what happens. What I can speak intelligently about is not with elected officials, because I really don't know how it all works, like with senators and congressmen. And I know sometimes they have to have clearances to serve on some committees they are in. And I just know that the president, as a matter of trivia, does not have to go through that process. But going back to how a civilian gets a security clearance to work on a classified contract, that scrutiny that they go through to get the contract, the security clearance applies throughout their security clearance career. So depending on the clearance level, they get reinvestigated. While they have their clearance, they're going through something called continuous evaluation. And there's responsibilities to report yourself if you have adverse information against, for example, you go suddenly into debt, or you're not able to make payments on your house, or you suddenly become under incredible amounts of affluence, you get money. So these are indicators, so we're under self-evaluation and we're under responsibility to evaluate our peers. And so if anybody displays, like those characteristics you're looking for in an active shooter or some type of threat, we're looking for an insider threat too. We're looking for the people who have authorization and access and pretty much a trusted employee. We're looking for them, are they going to be the next Eric Snowden and start downloading, or Chelsea Manning or a reality winner and start downloading classified information unobserved and putting them on WikiLeaks?
I'm not familiar with Chelsea.
Oh, but Chelsea changed her name. She was pardoned. He was a soldier in the United States Army, I believe, and he he revealed classified videos. And then, so he went to prison, and then he had a, I guess they call it gender reassignment while he was in prison. And so now he's Chelsea Manning, and he got, I believe, a pardon from President Obama, a pardon, or he's out of jail now. And so
Okay.
he was convicted on espionage charges. Don't know exactly what they were, but yeah, he did, I believe, upload classified videos onto YouTube or somewhere, WikiLeaks or somewhere, so people could see them.
Hmm.
And so he was, most of these folks are motivated by idealism, not necessarily financial gain. You know, if you don't like, you don't like what your country stands for, and so, or this stuff shouldn't be classified, or we're doing bad things at war, I'm going to show the world. And so they've got some kind of idealism in their heart. So that's one of the hardest things to actually counter, is because you don't know what's in people's hearts. So what you have to look for is their behavior, like you're trained to do,
Mm-hmm.
as a physical security or a person who protects people or teaches them to protect
Yeah.
themselves. So I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to protect classified information and teach people how to do that.